Hello, it's your art escort here, and the book we're going to talk about is Name That Style, all about isms in art, ISM. Let's see if I can get my finger. It's not showing up right there. Isms. And I like this book. It's a small little book. It's written by Bob, RACZKA. RACZKA, and I like it a lot. I see that he also has maybe 10 other books, and the truth is, now that I see that it's got all these books, and I think these books work for children as well as adults, I'm going to look into trying to see if I can find the rest. How many art styles can you name? Can you tell the difference between naturalism and realism? How about cubism and impressionism? In this book, art lover Bob RACZKA clearly explains the basics of 14 different art styles spanning from 1430 to the 1970s. He also introduces such artists as Jan van Eyck, Joseph Turner, Juan Gris. So let's talk about the styles. Here's his introduction. Looking at art is easy, but sometimes understanding art can be hard, especially if you don't know the words to use to describe it. For example, most people have seen Edvard Munch's famous painting, The Scream, but if I said this painting was a great example of expressionism, would you know what I meant? Let me start by explaining what an ism is. In the world of art, a word ending in ism, ISM, is a word that describes a style. Naturalism is one style, cubism is another. An ism can also describe an artistic movement. A movement happens when one artist's style catches on with other artists. Pablo Picasso and George Braque invented cubism, but it became a movement spreading to all other artists around the world. So you got cubism. In this book, I hope to explain as simply as possible the ideas behind 14 different artistic styles. 13 are isms and one is not, but all of them are fascinating ways in which artists have looked at the world. Okay, well, the first one he does is he gives you a beautiful photograph here, and then he goes into what is naturalism? And then he talks about what is it, who were some of the popular painters of naturalism, what are some of the naturalism's most important characteristics, and why this painting is such a good example of naturalism. Then here's another painting, and this is called mannerism, and again he highlights those criteria. What are where and when was mannerism popular, who are the most famous modern manneristic painters, and other important characteristics. And then we have this art, and that is called neoclassicism, and he talks about that. The next one, we've got this, an abstract. You can see that at all. And that is called What is Romanticism, okay, which is a style. Then we have this. What is Realism? You can see the name there. It's a great book. I like the way he organized it. It works on my brain. And here's a picture, and then it says, what is Impressionism? And then, ciao. And then he outlines different things here. Pointillism, yeah. See this one? Let's see if you can see it at all. And then it says, what is pointillism? What is Fauvism? When and where was Fauvism popular? Answer these same questions on each one of these isms. Who are some of the most famous Fauvist painters? What are some of Fauvism's most important characteristics? Why is this painting a good example of Fauvism? Okay, here's one. What is Cubism? What is Futurism? What is Surrealism? What is abstract expressionism? Okay, and then he's got this. And this one is, what is opt art? Why didn't they just call it optism? I don't know, but they didn't. They broke the rules there. And this one's called, what is photorealism? Let's see. If we were going to choose one of these, I'm going to choose one, pointillism. Okay, let's do Fauvism. I love Fauvism. I'm going to read you what it says for Fauvism. The Fauvists wanted to show how they felt about what they were painting. Instead of using colors realistically, they used colors as a way to express their emotions, because they also painted spontaneously. One critic called them les Fauvistes, which means, that term means the wild beasts in French. Earlier artists, such as Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin, who also painted with bold emotional colors, influenced the Fauvists. When and where was Fauvism popular? All the Fauvists were French. Their bold style was born around 1898. It didn't really take off until the first Fauvist exhibition in 1905. By 1908, most Fauvists were moving on to other styles such as Cubism. I really like Fauvism. I wish they would have stayed there. Who are some of the most famous Fauvist painters? André Derain, France. Raoul Duffy, France. Henri Matisse, France. Georges Rouault, France. Maurice de Blagnac, France. What are some of Fauvism's most important characteristics? Bold, unnatural colors, flat, unrealistic space, quick, aggressive brushstrokes, a rough, unfinished look. And then, why is this painting a good example of Fauvism? And how I'm reading this page, for all of the 14 isms that he talks about, or 15 isms in here, he uses that outline for each one. So it's a really, really good book. Why is this painting a good example of Fauvism? Henri Matisse's portrait of Madame Matisse, The Green Line, contains all the main elements of Fauvism. He painted half of the woman's face bright yellow and the other half reddish pink. He painted a green stripe down the middle, so he divided the background into 3 arbitrary areas of color, bright red, purple, and green. Looking at his brushstrokes, we can tell he painted quickly. Overall, Matisse's portrait is sketchy, flat, and unfinished looking. So why did Matisse paint this woman with such strange colors? Maybe they are the colors of love, since this is the portrait of his wife, Amélie. Yeah, take a look again. His wife, if I remember correctly, was sick. She had some kind of chronic illness, and he was very much in love with his wife, and he saw her suffering a lot. So, some of it is her moods, but he surely seemed to be an artist that loved his wife. So, anyway, I'm going to see when I'm back in the States if I can't order some of these other books and do reviews on them, because I really like it. Millbourne Press, a division of Lerner Publishing Group. And it is Name That Style, all about isms in art. Absolutely an excellent must-buy for adults and kids. Ciao.